Flashback.
That is a dive. That is a dive. But it's also a penalty because he does catch him. But
1 week later.
It's a penalty. Stonewall catches his foot. I mean, Bruno's holding the wrong part of his foot, which doesn't help. I think it's really clever play by Bruno Fernandes, and he's bought the penalty. There is contact there.
So the big talking point from today's game in the FA Cup is the penalty given to Manchester United care of Bruno Fernandes, who a lot of people have said took a dive or fell too easily. A lot of people have said it was warranted, it was a penalty. What is all crying about? What are you complaining about? Now, this all comes off the back of Jota's fall, penalty, dive, some people have called it, against Newcastle the other week, which I have said I will maintain the same energy in this here, that if you give contact in the box, you give the player, the attacking player, the option to go down, and then it's up to the referee, VAR, whoever it is making the decisions, whether or not to award a penalty, play on, yellow card for simulation, whatever it is. If there's contact, I don't think you can sort of say, you took a dive. Maybe you exaggerated the fall, yes. Taking a dive, though, I think it's a bit harsh. Unless you're purposely running through the opposition and then falling over, then we can say, sure, you're taking a dive, right? But this is my stance. I said this earlier on today on Twitter. You can follow me if you like, at @the_football_club, spelled in the Eastern European way, because that's where I'm. Speaking of, I'm rocking Goran Pandev in the shirt tonight. Makedonski legenda. Played for Lazio, Inter Milan, Napoli before that, and then Genoa, I think. Then ended up in Galatasaray for one point. I don't know. He played all over the place. Anyways, beside the point. That's how you follow me on Twitter. Anyways, I said you can get a kick, a shirt pull, push, shove all over the pitch and get a free kick without necessarily going to ground. But when the same thing happens in the penalty box, if you don't go to ground, it's not even considered for a penalty. This is why players fall, flop, and drop. And I said that for Jota's pen the other day against Newcastle, right? That's what I said. I'm going to keep the same energy here. As much as I can think it was soft or could have stayed on his feet, that being Jota, I still would have preferred if he just finished that fucking ball, if he just put it into that, put it into the goal instead of trying to fall over the place. It would have been much better. But that's what happened. Got a clip on the ankles. It is what it is. Jota gets a clip on his foot, goes down. It is what it is. And just to show you what the actual sitch was, I'm not going to play it, but as you can see on screen here, maybe I can zoom this in, go full screen perhaps, maybe. Is that going to work? Okay. So this defender, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I don't know why he's going in there, but sliding in, bang, sweep. He gets a little bit of a touch, bang. You can see there's a foot being clipped just on the end there. Now, if Bruno falls at this point, just falls to the ground, I would say, yeah, fair enough, penalty. Same like Jota. If he fell to the ground straight away, you would say, yeah, okay, that's a penalty. But the fact that you can see he gains control of his leg, so it's in midair, and he brings it back down again. So he lands on it, and arguably landing on it sideways like that is going to potentially cause more dramas for you. You could roll your ankle or something if that's the case. And how he falls down pisses me off the most. He falls down like a sissy, but I mean, Bruno Fernandes, what do you do? Anyways, that's what happened in the match. Got the penalty, scored the penalty. They won 2-0. Again, very divided. This is football after all. Now, a few people who have spoken about this. Let's look first up. The one and only Mr. Mark Goldbridge. Now, what did he say about Jota's penalty last week? What did he say about Jota going down from the challenge from Dubravka at Anfield for Liverpool? What did he say?
Why has he dived? Penalty. Yellow card. Dubravka. Well, this is what I mean. There's no reason to dive there for Jota. There's no reason. He's got an open goal, so he must get connection.
I agree. There was no reason to go down. Arguably, would have been better if he just put the ball in the back of the net.
It looked like he dived, but there's no reason to dive because he's 3 1-on-1. Yeah.
Go on.
Well, he does take the contact and go down. He could have stayed on his feet. He takes the contact. Yeah, he takes the contact and goes down. That is a dive. That is a dive. But it's also a penalty because he does catch him. But the thing is, he didn't need to do it. He could have.
So that's a dive, but it's also a penalty. Okay, it's a dive, but it's also a penalty. Okay, what did he say about Bruno in the game this morning for myself? What did he say about Bruno? So he caught him, but it's a dive. Okay.
Match. My man of the match, Mainu. He's covered the run there, and it's gone out for a corner. Penalty. He's given it. Penalty. Penalty to United. I think it is. He took a long time to look at this one. It's Anthony Taylor, so even I'm going, yeah, that's a penalty. It looks like a penalty to me. Let's have a look. It's a silly tackle.
Yes, it was a silly tackle. Agreed. Why is he sweeping his leg like that? That's just dumb.
Yeah, it's a penalty. Stonewall catches his foot. I mean, Bruno's holding the wrong part of his foot, which doesn't help, but it's a penalty. 100%.
So it's 100% a penalty, right? So that's a penalty. Mark Goldbridge says that's a penalty, but Jota getting clipped on the ankles, then going down is not a penalty. Again, did you not see how Bruno landed on his feet? He took control of his leg again and then fell down. Now, I have said, if you're standing on your feet, as he was there, he wasn't running at full tilt. He wasn't going, full on, 15 Ks an hour, like bursting down the pitch like Jota was, going around a keeper. Very easy to get a clip when you're running in a straight line or going straight down past the goalkeeper to lose your balance, because as we saw with Bruno's fall, when he lands sideways on his ankle. That could cause arguably more damage than the tackle itself, because the tackle was not the worst thing, right? Jota running through, though, gets a clip, and he has to go down. And I would say this, if this was Bruno, if this was Bruno Fernandes, I'm saying it right now, you can hear me saying it, you can see me saying it. If this was Bruno Fernandes running through on goal, got a touch and then went down, I would say he's running at full speed. Arguably, if he lands on his foot, trying to regain balance, could twist an ankle, could do some damage to himself. Okay, we've seen these things happen. We've seen them in the middle of the pitch. There's a nothing challenge. A player tries to land, regains themselves, and they fall awkwardly, and bang, there's an ACL or there's an ankle rolled or something to that effect. So if he was running, I would say fair enough. But the fact that he's standing still, pretty much, and then decides to go down after regaining control of his foot, because you can see his foot let's just go back again. So his foot, you can see it here. So he gets clipped, a little drag. It's not completely dragged. It's not like he dragged him and his foot did the splits, but it gets dragged, and you can just see here midair. It pauses for a second, and then he's regained it, and then goes down on his leg. Then he goes down. That's what people are saying is the very suspect part in that particular action there. So that's Goldbridge. We're going to get back to Goldbridge. I actually thought the next person would have said something similar, that being Terry from the Football Terrace, but no, he actually shared my sentiments. This is the Jota penalty last week.
Could have, just score it. I don't know what that means there, my friend. Terry, it was an open goal. Why would he dive? I mean, you have to watch. I mean, listen, let's not get twisted, Liverpool fans. He definitely threw himself to the ground, okay? We've all played football. We all know what that's like. But yeah, he was clipped. He was fouled. And I understand it. I get it. There is a part of me, though, that and maybe it's just the way I view sport in general. Like in tennis, when a player hits a ball and it clips the net and it falls down the other side and they get the point, but they kind of apologize for it. That's how that sort of felt to me. Yes, it was a foul, but the way he went down, it's just a little bit magoo. But I wouldn't necessarily say, I don't think Newcastle have been robbed by any stretch of the imagination at all. When your best player of the day is Dubravka, that tells you everything you need to know about the game.
There you go. Of course, all these links posted down below. If you want to watch them for yourself after, feel free. By all means, I'm just bringing you the points to make my point known here. So that was for the Liverpool-Newcastle game. Again, fair. There's contact. He went down. Was it a bit too soft, a bit too whatever? Yes, but there was contact there. Like I said, you give the opposition player, if you're a defender, a contact, you give them the choice to go down, and then you give the referee a decision. But again, if referees are going to give penalties, it's only because the attacking players are falling to the ground because they're not getting anything any other time of the day, right? But this is what he said regarding the Bruno penalty this morning.
Dive. Now, for me, a lot of people were frustrated with the penalty that Manchester United got. You can see here the challenge from the Wigan defender. I think it may have been
Stupid tackle.
Morrison,
Stupid tackle.
maybe. I'm not too sure. I don't remember the name of the player it was. And there's a lot of calls saying this was a dive from Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, I can't play the clip on here. And this reminded me very much of the 2 penalties that Liverpool got in their last Premier League game, where there was clear contact on Jota and Luis Diaz. Not as big a delay, but a slight delay in going down. In this one, you see the defender swipe through his trailing leg. Bruno Fernandes' foot is on the floor. So unless osmosis has taken place, he has to go through Bruno Fernandes' foot.
Fair.
Was it enough to make him fall over? Probably not. But if
Fair.
Bruno doesn't go down, does he get the penalty for clearly being infringed upon? Unfortunately, the answer is also no. So I look at it very much as, I understand why people say this shouldn't be a penalty. But until referees start giving penalties for fouls without players going down, players are always going to dive.
That's a fair point, which is what I said. And coincidentally, we share the same sentiments, even though I actually only saw this now. I did not watch it beforehand. So if you think I copied what he's saying, believe you me, I didn't know what he said. I'm listening to it just before and I'm like, holy shit, that's what I tweeted before. That's what's going to happen. Players don't go down in the box. They're not going to get penalties. That's the stupidity of giving penalties in the box. So Goldbridge said Jota's was a dive when there was contact, right? He said Bruno was a stonewall penalty. No issues there. Terry stayed consistent. Look, Jota probably went down a bit easily, but there's contact. Bruno, yeah, he went down, but there was contact. Again, I have no problems there. No issues. This is what Mr. Mark Goldbridge said regarding Bruno with that penalty on TalkSport, just uploaded an hour ago. Let's hear what he had to say here, because this to me just shows how much of a biased hypocrite Mark Goldbridge is. And normally I'm a fan of Goldbridge. I sort of mostly agree with the things he says. I agree with his footballing takes, but this for me was just a bit too far. In the sense of okay, you had me beforehand, now you've lost me.
Talking point after the game, of course, was the penalty they were awarded to make it 2-0 after Bruno Fernandes went down in the box. Joining us now to look back on last night's game, TalkSport presenter, huge Manchester United fan, Mark Goldbridge. Morning, Mark.
Morning, both. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, really, really good. Thanks, mate. Look, Mark, we're having a straw poll, and at the moment, more people are in Bruno Fernandes' corner than are in the opposition's corner there. What did you think? Penalty or no pen?
Well, first thing I'm going to say is I find it incredible that Manchester United fans are now complaining about a Manchester United player winning a penalty. I can't believe how many people are calling him out who are United fans. But
Sorry, is Mark Goldbridge not one of these people who calls out VARs and referees and asks for consistency week in, week out? Is he not the same person who's going to complain on that's football or that's entertainment, VAR controversy, VAR disgrace, this is nonsense, penalties, this and that, and blah, blah, blah? Are you not the same Mark Goldbridge?
I get it from rival fans. I mean, it's a cup game. A lot of people were watching it. I thought the atmosphere was great. I thought Wigan played their part, but there's no VAR anyway. The referee's given it, and the way we all know the way VAR works anyway. There is contact. They wouldn't overturn it. The big question is, we saw this with Liverpool in the Newcastle game. Should a player go down? Bruno touches his shin when he got hit on the foot. I think it's really clever play by Bruno Fernandes, and he's bought the penalty. There is
Clever play and he's bought the penalty. Clever play and bought the penalty. But Jota going down, clear contact on his ankle from Dubravka, who admitted himself, yeah, I got him. I don't think it was a penalty, but he got called a penalty. It is what it is. Romero, I'm going to use him as an example because he's been red carded already a few times this season for his rash challenges. When he's flying in, studs out and clatters into Enzo Fernandez onto his shins, that is an actual full-on penalty. There's no ifs or buts about it. Because we've always said Harry Kane, there's clever play. He's a diver. He's taken a tumble. But if there's contact, the players are going to go down. So which one is a mark? Jota was a dive. Bruno Fernandes, clever play. Fuck me. You can't even be consistent with your own views. You want VAR and referees to be consistent? You can't even give consistency here? Fuck off, man.
contact there. And in the modern game, that is still a penalty. If they want to change the rule, I mean, I don't know what Ali thinks, but I think it's a penalty. I think Bruno's bought it. I understand the frustration, but we can't say it's a dive because those penalties don't get ruled out if there's contact. Maybe there needs to be a rule change, but I thought it was clever, thought it was a penalty, and it was a crucial goal at a crucial time.
Fucking hell, Mr. Mark Goldbridge, Mr. I want consistency with referees and VAR, and here we go, players going down, one person goes down, that's a dive, another from his own team goes down, well, that's a penalty, it's clear, they've bought the penalty. Instead of chopping in, and he could have probably gone on and actually maybe had a shot on goal, instead he decided to go down. Again, I'm still filthy with Jota for not just finishing the ball instead of going down, but fuck, it is what it is. What do we got? Mark said Jota dived, there's my comment here. Mark said Jota dived, but this was a clear pen. There's less contact in this, and Bruno moves his ankle to land on it sideways, which is what I said. Yes, can we all ask Mark Goldbridge to maintain this energy when another players do the same, but we know he won't. As he rightly calls for consistency in officials, he should lead by example as it were, not claim this is clever, but then another player from a rival does it, then they're a cheat, 100%. This is why I'm just like, fuck, I just had to because more so because of Goldbridge, because he's been so consistent on this shit. And all of a sudden, his team gets a penalty. It's fucking Bruno Fernandes, probably the most hated player in the Premier League. And all of a sudden, he's praising him for his clever work. Okay? Every player that gets contact in the box, go down. Let's see how many penalties are given. Let's just see. You probably get more yellow cards for simulation, for looking for a penalty, than penalties actually given. So until that happens, every player is either going to try and go down and look for a penalty, because you're not going to see penalties given. That's just not going to happen. That's the reality of the situation. But Mark Goldbridge, hypocrite. Terry, he's all right in this stance here.